configuration of the hall, and before we go with the proceedings, I think it will make it very easy, if I may ask, humbly so, that the people who are sitting on my far right, we come and fill up just this hall here, so that we are all right in one audience. I know you're comfortable where you are, but I think it will make everything look a lot more proper. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think this looks a lot more better. To Professor Tinyiko Maluleka in absentia, to Dr. Vatiswa Papu Zamkaka, to our keynote, Dr. Helen McGurk, to the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Management Sciences, Dr. Edgar Nesamvuni, to everybody that took time to come for us to engage in this conversation. I would like to say, Molweni, Abusheni, good morning, Goeiemorgen, Dumelang, Loshani, Sanibonani, Salam Alaikum. Thank you so much. Welcome everybody to the 32nd Vice-Chancellor prestigious Research and Innovation Seminar. We host this as often as possible for us as a university to engage in this type of conversations. I'm very, very thankful to stand before you to facilitate the conversations today. My name is Ndibu Chipara, and then I represent the Faculty of Management Sciences. I don't want to waste your time. I want us to get straight into the proceedings of the day. And those who have got programs there, you will take note that we were supposed to receive a word of welcome from our Vice-Chancellor, and unfortunately she is not here, but he is well represented. And then I will take this opportunity to welcome you, Dr. Vatiswa Papu Zamkaka, who is a Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research, Innovation, and Engagement here at the Tshwane University of Technology. A round of applause, please.
Now I'm realizing that I am challenged in terms of my height. Thank you, I've adjusted it. Program Director and our Vice-Chancellor and the Principal, Professor Tinyiko Maluleke in absentia, who has requested that I sincerely apologize for him. He really wanted to be in here. But unfortunately, due to other pressing matters, he is not in our premises today. And he was really looking forward to this. And I'm sure you all agree with me. You would have seen him talking about this seminar on TV on Sunday. Who has seen it? Who has seen that insert from TV? How? Okay, at least there's a hand. Please go and watch it. We do have the recording of him speaking on TV about this particular day. So I do apologize on his behalf. To our special guest today, Dr. Helen McGurk, the Executive Management Committee members who are in our midst, the executive deans that are present, including the executive dean of the Faculty of Management Sciences, Dr. Nesamvuni, the ESCO of the Faculty of Management Sciences, the Department of Management Entrepreneurship Advisory Committee members, the student fraternity, students. Oh, I thought you would make some noise. Are we not having students today? Are the students here? Yes. And also our staff from TUT and also from outside, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Sanbonan. Oh, when is Prof. Chipala saying Sanbonan, you go with a vigor. I listened to all the greetings, and when we got to Sanbonan, hey, there was a big vigor. Sanbonan. Molweni betun. Dumelang. Abshen. Lochan. Good morning. Goeiemorgen. That's much more better. Program Director, I am honored and privileged. No, they were just reminding us that they are also online. So I do acknowledge those who are online. Greetings to you. I am honored and privileged to welcome you all to the 32nd Vice-Chancellor's Prestigious Research and Innovation Seminar Series. Today, we explore a topic of immense significance: entrepreneurship excellence through research, education, and training, a holistic and inclusive approach. This seminar holds a special place in our academic calendar. It is a testament of our commitment to fostering innovation and driving excellence in research and education. As a university, we are firmly working towards achieving the goals outlined in the National Development Plan 2030, recognizing the transformative power of education. Whether studying engineering, arts, sciences, or any other field, the principles of entrepreneurship are integral. Entrepreneurship is not limited to creative businesses. It's about instilling a mindset of innovation, adaptability, and problem solving in our graduates. These qualities transcend specific disciplines and are essential for success in any career. I was quite impressed, by the way. Our guest speaker for today was mentioning to me a few minutes ago that she was really thrilled to see our students and the former students being so participative. This really shows that we have trust and we believe in those whom we have produced as the Tshwane University of Technology. I thought you would clap hands. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are fortunate to have Dr. Helen McGurk with us, who will delve into the holistic and approach to entrepreneurship excellence. Dr. McGurk's work is a shining example of how research and innovation can drive entrepreneurship, not just in theory, but in practice. Her research has illuminated the path towards greater economic competitiveness, and her experience have shown us that the importance of translating knowledge into action. Moreover, the emphasis on entrepreneurship extends beyond our campus. Dr. McGurk's commitment to community community enterprise initiatives, is a powerful reminder that the impact of entrepreneurship extends far beyond business and academia. It touches the lives of individuals and communities, driving positive change on a broader scale. We must continue integrating entrepreneurship into every academic program as we progress forward, equipping our graduates with the skills and mindset needed to excel in an ever-evolving world. The future of entrepreneurship education is not merely about imparting knowledge. It's about creating future-ready graduates poised to lead and to innovate. And those graduates, they come from where? From Tshwane University of Technology. You seem not to be believing. Yes, future-ready graduates, they come from the Tshwane University of Technology. We are so resolute, we're so a quote now from the great Tata Rolihlahla Nelson Mandela, who once said, I open quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world," close quote. These words encapsulate the essence of our mission here at Tshwane University of Technology. We believe that education coupled with entrepreneurship has the transformative power to change individual lives, our society, and our nation. In conclusion, Program Director, this seminar reflects our commitment to excellence in research, education, and innovation. It underscores the importance of entrepreneurship for all degrees and its potential for our graduates and society. As we embark on this journey of exploration and learning, let us be inspired by the ideas and insights shared today, knowing that we are shaping our institution's future and the nation and the world. Let us collectively embrace entrepreneurship in every facet of education to create future-ready graduates who will champion change and drive progress. Together, we can profoundly impact our society and contribute to realizing the National Development Plan 2030. Yes, we want to impact our society. It is our view and our strongest stance that universities are not monuments of elite. They exist to solve societal challenges. We want to impact our society. If I was at church, I was going to say amen. Let us make the most of this enlightening seminar, ladies and gentlemen. In my language, we say, kufayayo kento zakuthi. Imbila yaswela umsila ngokuyalezela.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vatiswa. I think she's mentioned a lot of things that are very profound, and I think we can give her another round of applause. I want to take this opportunity to request everybody to stand for the singing of the national anthem, please. You may be seated. It feels nice to sing your own national anthem, isn't it? All is good. And then once more, I would like to introduce the DVC, who just welcomed everybody, Dr. Vatiswa, to come and introduce our keynote address. Thank you, ma'am.
You always forget to adjust this. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Magag's work centers on supporting entrepreneurship in all its forms at regional, national, and international level. This involves managing 10 publicly funded projects and supporting students, educators, and industry partners. She supervises PhD candidates, master's students, acts as an external examiner, and mentors early faculty or educators. Dr. Magag's research focuses on 4 related areas: the economics of innovation, entrepreneurship, enterprise competitiveness, and public policy. Thank you. This research has been presented at national and international peer-reviewed conferences, and she has won Best Paper at the Entrepreneurship Education Conference and Institute for Small Business and Entrepreneurship Conferences. We're talking about a heavyweight here. Dr. Magag's research has been published in top-ranked journals, including twice in Research Policy and in the European Planning Studies, International Journal of Contemporary Hospitality Management, and guest editor for Small Enterprise Research. The Irish Research Council at the University of Limerick funded her PhD and postdoctoral research fellowship. She represents MTU on the Irish government-led higher education institutions network and is a reviewer for several academic journals and book publishers. Helen led her university's team that won in teaching and learning entrepreneurship. And she is the principal investigator on several European and nationally funded projects. Dr. Magag is a member of the senior staff at MTU and an elected member of the Research and Academic Councils. Dr. Magag has many years of industry experience in project management, financial services, and as an entrepreneur in Ireland and Australia, and most recently is involved in establishing a rural community enterprise. This, as a South African, speaks volumes. The latter part of establishing a rural community enterprise, it really speaks volumes for us as South Africans. We are looking forward to hear from you. We are really elated to have you here, and we are so humbled, and we are so much convinced that we're going to learn a lot. And it's not about only the learning, it's also about the learning that is being put into practice, because we're a university of technology. We are doers. We make things happen. Thank you, Program Director.
You could be here till Friday. Good morning, and it is my absolute honour to be here. Thank you, Deputy Vice-Chancellor, thank you very much, to Dr. Edgar, to Dr. Patrick, for being my hosts, and especially to you all for giving up your morning, a Wednesday morning. And I'm going to talk to you this morning, but it involves a little bit of interaction from you all. Now, there is one problem here. I have to stay here. Anybody that was at the session yesterday knows that I'm up and down and I'm walking around. So excuse me if, for the people that are online, if I move away from the mic. Oh, thank you. This is marvelous. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm Helen McGurk, and I am part of Munster Technological University. And Munster Technological University, as it says on the tin, is a technological university. So we are honoured to be here as partners. We are also part of TENSA, which is the Technological University Network in South Africa. Anybody from the slide behind me and the wonderful pull-ups along here, can anybody tell me what other thing does MTU and TUT have in common? Observation now. Yeah, entrepreneurship, yes. The colours of our logos? Yes. Yes. So it's a great start, I suppose, in us joining forces. We have the same worries, issues, challenges, but moreover, we have very similar opportunities for our students, for our educators, our support and professional staff, our communities, our region, and nationally. So I'm going to introduce myself first with a few numbers. So I travelled 13,084 kilometres on Sunday and Monday to be here, and it was a fine flight. It wasn't too bad at all. And thank you, very efficient Johannesburg Airport, and I came over to Pretoria, my first visit to Pretoria. And Ireland, you can see here from the arrow, is a little bit away. It's a little country, 5 million people. We are a republic. We have 26 counties, the biggest county being Cork, and the rest of it we really call not Cork. So do you know, like that's where we're from, so, you know, not Cork and Cork. So that's what really matters around here, you know, regions. This picture is taken from my kitchen window. So the significance there is I'm a very proud island woman. The number 130 relates to 130 people live on the island that I am from. And we are in the, all I can say is the throes of establishing a community enterprise where we have planted 5,000 plants, the lavender plant. Do you have lavender plants here? Yes. Commercially? Yes. Okay, so that's another part of my research, because we can learn from other enterprises. And the picture there in the oval is us harvesting 800 of the plants, of the 5,000 plants. And the picture below was a little bit of my handiwork, where we are using the first 2 years piloting or testing products, which species are the best, which species are the best, which are the best times of the day. Ask me about lavender, I'll tell you, because I've done so much cutting and distilling and drying, and the tops of my fingers were burning, and then I realised you should wear gloves. So it's the learning by doing that we were mentioning earlier on. 13. Does anybody know what the 13 means? Will I enlighten you? There was a little bit of a match there in Ireland, or in Paris there last Saturday. Ireland got 13. I don't know. Was it South Africa? We're just as crazy about rugby as South Africa is. So my brother-in-law is South African. My sister is married to a Joburg man, and so he was sitting on one end of the sitting room, and the 3 kids were sitting on the other, and avid rugby. So that's where the 13 is. So yeah. No, I just wanted to put it in there. And 5, I've had 5 enterprises throughout my life. Mostly in the hospitality or agri areas, so the agriculture and the community. So again, I think once you're an entrepreneur, you're always an entrepreneur, even in the mindset, even in how you think. And the 1 is an enterprise. So an enterprise, I'll talk about that in a moment, is where it's an enterprise but within an organisation. So TUT have enterprises, and we at MTU have an enterprise, or several of them, and I head up one of them. So the Hink Centre, we're celebrating our 10th year this year, and we have carried out an impact report. So all our research and all our activities have an impact. And we were counting up, and we have 175 partners or collaborators across the world. And about 31 individual partnerships across Ireland. These, and why I'm telling you this is it's significant in what we'll talk about later, and that is around none of us work in isolation. While I might be from a small island, of an island nation, we depend on people all the time, whether it's the budding entrepreneurs, whether it's your student life, whether it's your educators, an enterprise well established. We all work and depend on others. And, you know, we've had loads of hosting events. One very large and very important event we had in February, and that was a large group of senior management from and academics from South Africa, and Dr. Edgar was one of them, and we had wonderful workshops, and we had share and learn, and we learned so much from each other as peers, as you do as students in your peer groups. I heard somebody this morning, one of the students, and they were, the lecturer said, well, are you doing your project on your own or as a group? And she said, oh, as a group. And I'm thinking, well, one brain is great. 4 brains or 5 brains are 4 times better. So group work, again, it's that working together, sharing. Just on the impact, we align all our work to the SDGs, so the Sustainable Development Goals, while we do align them to the university's strategy plan. The strategy plan at MTU mirrors the SDGs, and particularly around education, which is number 4, number 10, reducing inequalities, and number 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure. You could have a great quiz with SDGs, couldn't you? There you go. So when you're looking to do some fundraising for your community or your sports club, you could have a few questions on the SDGs. The square in the black is all our projects, or some of the projects, and we've ticked them across, and we have to, all our team have to say what project and how they're impacting. So we're creating value. Okay, so that's me, and that's the MTU story. I forgot to say we're a university of nearly 18,000 students across 6 campuses, and I learned yesterday that your faculty is about, is it 12,000? So one of your faculties is a very similar size to our whole university. So we are very small, and we're learning so much from you, and particularly in your the physical infrastructure that you have. Students, you should be so proud to be part of TUT. It is certainly world recognised, but my goodness, the facilities you have are just amazing. So I'm going home with many photographs. Amazing, yeah. So what's next? So we have 2 general topics that we're going to look at. We're going to look at the value in solving problems. So how are you going to get your ideas? How are you going to create value? Where are you going to find your next venture? So whether you're students, or whether you're staff, or whether you're entrepreneurs, or whether you're both or all 3, because you can be a student, you can be a member of staff, and you can be an entrepreneur all at the same time. And we're looking at new research. And then we're going to talk about going solo, or are we going to support an ecosystem? So what, like? Why is entrepreneurship education important? Like, why should we just, involve ourselves in entrepreneurship? For most of you students, you have picked the entrepreneurship diploma, higher diploma degree. That's amazing. That's a huge start. Your educators have, delved into and trained in the area of entrepreneurship. The European Commission, so that's our the EU, the European Union, 27 countries. The Commission considers entrepreneurship a skill that can be learned, and that's why you're here for all of us to learn, while people with entrepreneurship education are more employable. So you can be very employable, and you can be an entrepreneur, or a budding entrepreneur, as we'd say. So the course you're doing is so transversal, so usable now, in your 50s, in your 60s, and for a whole lifetime. Of course I'd say that, but I've proved that in my journey, if you like, as an entrepreneur, as a student. I went back to do my degree. I never did a degree. When I left school, we couldn't afford it because you had to pay fees. And I was the first one in my family to ever do what we would call the Leaving Cert, or the A-level, at 18. I went back to my degree in my 30s. My kids were small. After being the entrepreneur, so I kind of did it backwards, but in hindsight, it wasn't backwards. It's just everybody does things differently throughout their lives. So you might have a great idea and be really successful on your entrepreneurship, and well done. But you might graduate and say, this is actually not for me. But remember, education and knowledge weighs nothing on our shoulders. So you have that information, you have that knowledge all the way through your lives. So whether you're 20, 30, 60, it doesn't matter. You always have this and it weighs nothing. So that's the wonderment of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship has a key role in supporting the economy. So whether it's our local economy, whether it's the corner shop that we buy from, whether it's the past student that is doing the filming, or the past student that was catering for us yesterday, key role in supporting our economy. And higher education is the driver of that strong entrepreneurship ecosystem. So that ecosystem we'll talk about later. So having an entrepreneurial mindset, so thinking entrepreneurial, is essential in succeeding in this dynamic, a very competitive world. So you have this great idea, and then you go and do a little bit further research, and you go, oh my God, there's a shop down the road that's selling the exact same, or producing the exact same products, or giving the exact same service. But that's where your knowledge comes in, and your training, and your learning, and that wonderful, wonderful resource called Google. It's a great resource, you know. It helps discover, so entrepreneurial mindset, it helps you to discover and seize opportunities. So we talk a little bit more about that, around, you know, how to see those opportunities. But one little word there is being observant and always looking at, how does that person do it? Or how does that business do it? So it's keeping that mind open. And sorry, this goes for all of us, no matter where we are in our life and our career. Always be observant, because you just never know where the next innovation comes from. You never know where the next great idea comes from. And that could be as simple as tweaking your modules if you're an educator, or gathering data from a different source. So you have that mindset. Looking at the types of challenges, problems, yeah, you're still there. Hello, everybody on screen. We want to find value in a solution. So we're very aware of all the challenges around the world. So this involves a little bit of pen and paper, and a little bit of thinking on your part. So I'm going to set you a little challenge. So if you can get your thinking caps on and your pen and paper, you can think of a challenge or a problem. Now, it can be at micro level, so it can be within your company or within your business that you're working on. It could be within your organization. It could be also macro, could be around your country. So an issue or a problem that's within the country. And if it's anything like Ireland, we've many of them. So you've plenty to choose. Write down 2 types. It can be big problems or issues, or small challenges. Just write down 2. So we're going to come back to this, so you'll have to have something on your paper. As they say, there's no free lunch, you know. You have to work hard at this. And I have to give my voice a break. Okay? Right, I know I'm left-handed, but I'll have to change over. Okay, so think of 2 challenges. Write them down. They're just 2 or 3 words even. So, we have at least 2 types of problems that entrepreneurs face. Now, there are many more, but this is a piece of research by Daniel Kirst and a colleague of mine, Niall O'Leary, who is working on this new piece of research that I'm going to share with you. And it's getting us thinking about creating value from solving problems or issues. So probably back in first year or second year when you were in university and learning about how to come up with ideas, you were probably handed a challenge or a problem. Or if you're a budding entrepreneur, you probably go, oh yeah, there's an issue there. Uncertainty and complexity. Right, you know both words, but you may not have thought about these in relation to dealing with problems or value creation. So, can you explain the differences between the mist-filled road and the contortion shape of this branch, snapshot of branches? Just think about it in relation to problems. Seeing more of the road, would that help? It would. Yes. So you're getting a little bit more information about the road ahead. Seeing more of the branches, would that help? Could do. More information helps in one, so we're happy that the road, if the mist lifted, we can go at our 100 kilometres an hour. But if it is down, so more information helps. But it can hinder the other, because I can't even follow the branches and what direction it's going in. If I get more information about brambles, I could get slightly overwhelmed. There's no pattern. So it's a way of thinking about problems. So you can see where I'm going from here. And as I go through the next slide, you can start thinking about the problems you wrote down. And more information, does that help me? Or, well, if I had more information, it could hinder me, or it's certainly not going to help me in any great way. So, following a recipe. So if you want to make a cake, you go and you follow a recipe. Simple problem, you want the cake, you look up a recipe. You might have to do it 1 or 2 times to get proficient at it, but there's no exact, expertise. Now, I'd say that because I'm a chef in a previous part of my life, so I can churn out a cake. But most people can churn out a dinner using a bit of a recipe, and practice makes perfect, as they say. Yeah. A little bit more complicated is sending a rocket to the moon. The rocket follows some sort of you have to have your engineers, you have to have the processes, you have to have the equipment. But you know what? Sending a rocket to the moon in 2020 and sending a rocket to the moon in 2022, you'd be fairly sure if you followed the same process with a few tweaks, that rocket would go to the moon. A little bit complicated, but it's not insurmountable because you're going to follow a process for the most part. The complications of rearing kids. Yeah. You rear one and you think, got it. Great. My goodness, anybody that has a second one, no, it's not. because following the same process may not, and more often than not, doesn't lead to success. In the next rearing. You have to change, you have to go around it in a different way. So it's much more complex. It's not insurmountable, because look at all of ye, you know, amazing people. So it is possible, but probably that idea of the brambles, it's complicated. And having so much more information, probably, you know, you're not going to follow that process of putting a rocket to the moon. So you can see the 3 different types of problems. In entrepreneurship and enterprise, the first 2 would be following a similar business, setting up a shop, say, or setting up a manufacturing to manufacture these mics. Kind of complicated, some of them, but you know what? It's been done before, and you're copying with some innovation sprinkled on top. Innovation, new or significantly improved product or service. It's a nice, simple way of describing innovation. So these, the first 2, complicated, but you know what? The complex one is where you're blue sky thinking, where you're building a novel business, where you're using new technologies perhaps, or new systems, new supply chains, can be complex because A, it probably hasn't been done before, and B, if it has been done before, it wouldn't be novel. So it is your difference between the complicated and the complex. Okay, so now you have to go back to your piece of paper and think about the 2 problems that you put down. And if you didn't put them down, I would suggest now think of a problem and see if it's complicated or if it's complex. Think about for the students in the room, and particularly the 3rd years that have their, you know, you'll have you're in the throes of your entrepreneurship journey and establishing your enterprise. Think about it. Is it complicated or is it complex? Complicated, you can go onto Google and you can talk to your educators, you can talk to your mentors. The complex ones, you can talk to them, but you have to delve a bit deeper. So if there's a takeaway from this, is understanding what you're trying to solve in adding value or creating value. Okay, so complex and uncertainty. So we'll move slightly on and we'll see how can we deal with this in business and how we can deal with it in teaching. So there's educators here. So how can we use, or what type of tools can we use to dig a bit deeper? Generally, we would use tools like the business model canvas. Has anybody ever come across the business model canvas? Yes. Okay. So very common, well used, and great tool for what it's there for. To start thinking about a business, the partners, the law, the resources that you need, the key players. So the 9 boxes fit in very nicely together. And your business plans. Anybody use business plans? Yeah, you can have 60-page business plans, or you can have a business plan on 1 page, which is tends to be unfortunately, what executives and venture capitalists read first. And if they like the executive summary, well, then they will dig a bit deeper and read. Have you ever been told that about business plans? The executive summary is probably the most important piece of writing. So just thought I'd throw that in. But in a study in the States, it was 33 case histories of firms, and managers frequently skipped formulating or, this whole thing of what was the problem. 75% of problems had to be recycled. They had to go back to problem formation. They had to go back and figure out what was the problem. 75%. So, what is wrong with going back and looking at a problem? If you go back, you've obviously put resources into thinking and solving the problem that you thought you were solving. So resources being capital, whether it's human capital, whether it's expensive equipment, time, energy, but also time to market. So it's a bit of a waste of time. So you want to avoid that problem, Is this the problem I'm trying to solve? You have to, how will you go to find out? You're going to dig deeper into finding the problem. So think about what's on your sheet. So it could be the challenge of getting to work on time because the potholes. Well, we've certainly got potholes, and I've seen a few around Pretoria. Okay, that's the problem. Is the problem filling in? Are you going to solve that problem by filling in the holes? Because the minute you fill in the hole, well, there's going to be somebody else, or you might find a new product. You might want to build, create a company that's going to fill that in. You get your procurement from the government. But is that the problem? Well, perhaps it's not the problem. Perhaps the problem is what the material that goes into filling that hole. So you have to go deeper into a problem before you start solving it. So this research by Comofo et al. In 2020 and Argowal 2023 was the, the spark that led to the Hink Centre to apply for European funding. So we've got a lot of funding on 2 projects. One at Interreg. Anybody's familiar with the European landscape, it is so competitive. But we got 2 projects that is going to look at this, and we are using this story tree as part of a scientific approach to figuring out about the problems, so that we can create value efficiently, timely, so we're not wasting time. So if you come up with your idea and you put all your energy into the idea, and then you realize, oh my goodness, the problem is not the right problem. So we've come up with this piece of research, and at the moment we're using amazing research that was done in Tanzania, which I'll share with you in a moment. And at the moment, we're using those case studies from Tanzania in the circular economy in Finland on massive waste disposal. Campus is all I can describe it. It's, I don't know, is it about 800 acres of a waste disposal? And we're using this scientific approach to try and figure out, does this work in the circular economy? So this is why I'm sharing it here, speaking to Edgar and speaking to colleagues around what's new in research. Because what's new in research? Our business model canvas came from research. So this is the next iteration, because entrepreneurship does not stand still. like most topics, but certainly entrepreneurship doesn't, it never stays still. So that's why we have a huge cohorts of researchers. So this story tree, and I'll show you in a moment, is about this logical link between the problem, who it impacts, what can the company do, what's the barriers and the opportunities. So with the problems, and this is the research, and I've covered it, so I'm going to skip slightly fast through this, is, you know, don't jump into solving the problem. Have a really spend time formulating the problem. So think of your problems down there, think of the potholes. So what is actually the problem? So you're talking about a doctor, and you go to the doctor and you say, oh, my leg is sore. Well, you know, they might say, well, yeah, rest it, elevate it, rest it, you've sprained it. But actually, no, it could be a spur in your ankle, it could be sciatica. What does the doctor do? In medicine, they look at the problem before they solve it. And the same too in business. We have to look at the problem first. And not just look at it, investigate it. So, also, problems they're not a singular issue. Again, we're going back to that ecosystem. We're all working together in that collaborative way. Problems are not singular. So this is just a quick, you can barely read it there. This is a story tree. What does it remind you of? A little bit like the business model canvas. It comes on a one-pager. So it's all about creating, for us as researchers and educators, we want to make it usable. We do not want to give entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs these huge documents. That's our job. We write papers about it. But this is what a story tree looks like. So this is the example. So the example I'm giving you is from Tanzania, and it is what we're using as our base for these two European projects. But this is one of them. We've loads of these case studies, but this is just one of them. The Copa Gas, they have a fabulous website, by the way. Cooking charcoal with charcoal and firewood is equivalent, this is stark, is equivalent to exposure of 400 cigarettes. Like, that's phenomenal. So the people spend about 30% of their income on fuel. So they want cleaner fuel, but it's so expensive. Cleaner fuel, what would be an example of cleaner fuel for cooking? Gas. LPG, like, in whether it's in a tank or in the bottles. That's good, it's clean. But it's so expensive. So this was the problem. And they wanted to come up with some way of creating value for themselves as a company. They wanted to create value for Tanzanian families, and particularly urban dwellers, because this company works with urban families. And that's just they're a technology company. They design, they manufacture, and they deploy scale solutions. Removing barriers to clean cooking. What does that do then? That has an added value for the families. It reduces the equivalent to 400 cigarettes. But on the face of it, you say, well, why do people just not buy LPG? Why doesn't Copa Gas just, sell it for cheaper? Well, they can't, because gas is, and the price of gas and individual small containers, there's a better way of doing it, and we'll show you how. So this story tree is up here in the corner. So the first part is actually identifying the problem. Why is it happening? And what could I or the company, do to help it? So you can see, as educators, you can see how user-friendly this is. So you're getting your students, you could use this on your own volition. You could be the initiators of this. It's not rocket science, and it's looking at the problem. So for this story, urban dwellers, Tanzanians, spend an estimated 30% of their entire income. You're very welcome. Even though it's a dirty fuel. So they know it's dirty. They know it's bad for their health. But, they can't afford the price of LPG. What can they do about it? Well, the company looked at technology. So they didn't reinvent the wheel. I'm a great believer of not reinventing the wheel. You can develop the wheel, but reinventing it, maybe not. So they used existing technology in solving this problem. So this is the actual, it's in one of the papers that I've quoted here. And they looked at the problem. So this up here, they said, well, what was the main problem? Well, LPG is too expensive. Charcoal is dirty. Then they talked about who does it impact? So you have everybody from families to singles to women mostly, because it's women that would spend most of the time indoors cooking. And then you can see the different layers. So again, we're looking at working our way through the problem and then feeding in the links. So you can see the arrows on the third level. So you've got what is the problem? Then say LPG is too expensive. So they have, it costs a large percentage of the income. That's 30%. Now, the only reason how they found that out is because they dug deeper into the problem. They went and investigated the problem. And then what they did was they start seeing links between each of the boxes. So if you can just go back there, sorry, this one here. So you have problems and opportunities on the second layer. You have people most affected. What could I do? And key steps to delivering value. So let's have a look at, of course I could use the doodah, but I didn't. So just have a look at there. They need LPG. So you could, the company could supply LPG, but the LPG is still too expensive. They could come along on their little truck and they could sell the LPG. But the LPG is way too expensive to start buying a whole month's supply. They need it at weekly level, or perhaps even in smaller amounts. Do you see the problem? So if you went off and bought your truck and bought the small tanks, the tanks of LPG, people still couldn't afford to buy the gas. Whereas with wood and charcoal, they found that they can buy it in small amounts. And then they came up with the idea, again, I'm truncating all this. There's a huge amount of work gone into all this. They came up with technology. So you would say, well, why don't they bulk buy and go around and supply it in little amounts? But they went further on. And what they did was they used smartphones. Everybody has smartphones, smart meters, and the technology as pay-as-you-go. So that's how they're able to supply at an affordable rate. They bulk buy, and then they have a smart meter. And you pay as you go. A little bit like electricity. Pay-as-you-go electricity in Ireland is very popular. So you can see where they could have gone wrong by just buying the truck and supplying the gas. But they didn't. They brought in technology, and because most people have mobile phones. So that's just an example of new research, because that's where we fine-tune how we can reduce expense of setting up a business and realising, oh, I need to pivot. Okay, so working through your problem first. Is it complex or is it complicated? So I leave you with that thought before we go on to the next slide. And we're going to go on to solo and ecosystem. So again, the company in Tanzania worked with the communities. They went out to their customers. They looked at technology. They brought technology experts in to, suss out what was available. They worked as in an ecosystem. I wonder. I suppose students, educators, and entrepreneurs, would you describe yourselves, for the most part, as the lone wolf, the person working on their own, and you know what? I've loads of experience, I know what I'm doing, and you know what? I couldn't be bothered talking to other people. Or are you working in what we would call an ecosystem, where one depends on the other? So we know, we learned this in primary school, where the fly depends on the worm in the sand depends on the movement of animals on the seashore, and neither are wrong, but one is probably better than the other. Of course, I'd say that ecosystems are better because we all learn from each other. It is learn and share. You can learn from others. Why do you learn from others? Because others share. Reciprocity, we have to share, we have to be open. So think of your own business. Do you go looking for support and help? Even in your economics, even in your marketing lectures. Do you talk to your lecturer? Do you talk to your mentors, your tutors? Educators, do you talk to your colleagues? Do you share ideas? We all have things to learn. Remember, knowledge and education doesn't weigh anything on our shoulders. So we can carry quite a lot, because it doesn't weigh anything. So the ecosystem, it allows for great flow of knowledge. So you think of yourself even in your social life. If you share, I know a great place. Do you fancy coming? Oh yeah, no, don't go down there. No, we won't do that. You're sharing. It's very basic. So why should we not use that very basic sharing within our careers and in our enterprises? You also learn new skills, information, and you can certainly share resources. It's for students, for entrepreneurs, for universities, for the region. Regions depend on you as students, as the entrepreneur, as a university, and certainly nationally. So why would you bother? Why would you bother? It's efficient. It also creates a culture, not just within your small micro group, but it also develops a culture of an ecosystem, working together for the greater good, working together to create value. But you can't, as they'd say in Ireland, because we have lots of them, the best way to eat an elephant is bite by bite. I don't know why we use that in everyday language. And I'm here in South Africa. But so you have to start small. So as students, you developing that culture for your children and your children's children around working together. And just to give you an idea of an ecosystem in Ireland, cool, I'm on time. An ecosystem at university level. So, a vibrant and sustainable entrepreneurship ecosystem across a university. which TUT seems to have in spades, is the students, the lecturers. And you hear me all morning, I'm relaying this. Students, educators, staff and professional staff, your management, your departments working together, all your faculties, your professions, the entrepreneurs themselves within and outside of your university. Public bodies. Well, we got a lot as universities. We get money, probably not enough, but we'll always look for more from public bodies. We have to work with public bodies, but public bodies depend on a university as well, because students are the future leaders. Students are the future entrepreneurs, the future employees. So they have to work with universities as well. They also may want research, quality research. So you can see where it's their interdependency, a little bit like the ecosystem. Ecosystems take time. And there is no destination. It's just continuously developing. So if I graduated back in whenever, and I go, oh, that's great now. I'm happy now, I have my job, and that's fine. But am I creating value? Am I adding to our community, supporting and impacting on our country? Probably to a lesser extent than the person developing and sharing and learning all the time. So that is a huge part of that entrepreneurial thinking wide, thinking holistically. As I look around this, I'm not just looking here, I'm observing everybody. The same too in your careers, in your enterprises. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to go further, if you're in a lecturing position, you go, I like to go to VC level. Well, you have to work with people. You have to share and you have to learn. Entrepreneurship permeates so far, doesn't it? So as we finish up, I'd like you to take a little trip. And I'd like for you to dream big and use those pens and papers. This is a nice exercise, by the way. And you think about where you would like to go in the world. Just one place. Doesn't matter. Be really blue skies now. Not on Earth, sorry. Not up in the blue sky. Think about where you'd like to be. Where would you like to go? Whether you'd want to live, whether you'd like to work, or whether you'd just like to visit. Where would you like to go in the world? So think about it. Sorry? Japan. Okay. Anybody? Korea? Canada. Canada's cold. New Zealand. Yes, plenty of skiing in New Zealand. Anybody over here? Finland. Yes. Santa Claus is in Finland. Yes. China. Yes. London. London's a great city. Switzerland. Yeah, very high mountains in Switzerland. Cork, thank you. Oh, God. I was waiting for now. I'm going to go home happy. And I'd like to go to Outer Mongolia. Yeah, Outer Mongolia. Yeah. My dad used to, because my dad was a builder and an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, and if he wanted to say something that was so far away, so far away, he'd say, oh sure, it was like going to Outer Mongolia. So I always feel, well, I want to go to Outer Mongolia. So Outer Mongolia is where the and is here, or probably a little bit more where the W is in why. I use that as a kind of a closing remark, is that you aim high, dream big, but help each other along the way. So when you think of your Japan and your Switzerland, and thank you, Cork, you can think about that idea of thinking big. Now, to get to Outer Mongolia, you see there's my timer, isn't that cool? I didn't mute it because it's going to talk to me in 5 more minutes. Think big, but to get to Mongolia, I have to take many steps. I have to save, I have to plan, I have to find out whether I can go, do I need a visa. It's the same with you. If you think big and you want to open a Michelin star restaurant, that's fantastic, because every country needs more Michelin star restaurants. But you have to take plans. You have to find out, can you do it? What do I need to do it? So do think big, but help each other along the way. I would like to leave you with that idea. Whether you're a student, an educator, support or professional staff, entrepreneurs, if you want to do something, put your mind to it and help people along the way. So, Gurumila Magwif, thank you very much.
What a wow. I like her presentation so much. I think this presentation bodes so well for our university. If we think at the time we were going through a measure, and now we are this big, and we are climbing up through rankings of universities, through the entire ecosystem that is being built by our leadership. I think we need more of this kind of a talk. Thank you so much, Dr. McGurk, for delivering such a beautiful presentation. Another round of applause, please. I know there were so many of you nodding and finding this so interesting. And I think it would be good for us to have an opportunity to possibly take a couple of microphones around here and see if maybe we have got questions that we can engage with her. We will just take a little bit of time, and then you're welcome to just pick our brain on a couple of things and see where we end up. And Dr. Magek, have you taken a breather already?
Yes. I'm just turning off my clock.
Okay, I think we don't need the clock now. It's South Africa. I'm kidding. Okay, so somebody who, Dr. Ebeo, maybe the microphone with you, and just check around who wants to ask a couple of questions.
Now, I only want easy ones. I don't want complicated ones.
This will be the microphone. Who has a question? Okay. I'm sure there is a question somewhere. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Elisma.
This one works.
I'd just like to know, how do you prepare your students at your university to be future-ready graduates? Incorporating entrepreneurship within your curriculum, for instance. Do you do that or not really?
Yeah, a great question, and it's part of our remit is to ensure that our students are work ready whether they work for themselves or whether they work for others. It is around, we do a lot of mixed teaching, very active teaching, but we have entrepreneurs coming in. We also have businesses coming in. So we engage, and I know you're very active here in the RPL, not the RPL, but the work integrated learning, where you work with industry. Industry comes in, they speak to the students, they may set challenges for the students, and student groups as part of their assessments would develop a solution to the problem. So therefore, industry can see how amazing our students are and maybe guide them. So there's a true engagement. So that's part of our remit. Yeah, it's good. It's hard work though. It's continuous. Thank you.
We'll take another question. Yeah, there are two hands on the other side. A third and a fourth. Thank you so much. We're coming right over to you guys.
You want two? I'll stand there if you want. I don't mind. That one's good. That works.
Thank you very much. And, good morning to everybody in the room. As one of the pillars of the universities, we tend to also give particular attention to community engagement. I just want to check with you, to what extent do you believe about that particular pillar? Or perhaps your university has introduced an entrepreneurial hub within the faculty of the university, so that you assist communities who aspires to start businesses, but you find that they could not even write a business proposal or consult on specific different areas. Your comment on that, please. Thank you.
Yeah. I would put that as a complex issue, but not insurmountable. The idea of engaging with communities around entrepreneurship. We do have an incubator on campus, but we also engage at the Hink Centre that I lead, is with the incubators far into the peripheral regions, so 2 hours from our university. We engage very actively. So they become part of one of our projects, the Target Circular one. The Ludgate in Skibbereen, which is a 2-hour drive, is part of that project. They get paid as part of that project. We do that really actively and pointedly to get the university beyond the walls of our Cork campus. But the other one is we have had funding through the Enterprise Ireland, which is a national or a public body, to roll out training within communities. So we have a project, you'll see it on our website, it's called My Town, My Plan, and we rolled out community enterprise training, 12 weeks, across 8 towns. Some of them were villages. So Rosscarbery is a village. It has about 800 people, whereas we did one in Clonakilty and that has about 2,000 people. So that was very successful and we were well funded for that. But again, it's that ecosystem. The policymakers saw the value of us on an outreach. So going out into the community. So a long answer to a short but complex question. Thank you. Yes. Here. Oh, you have one.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mangang. I thought I wouldn't ask the question, but really I can't help not to ask this one. I'm quite pleased to hear how integrated you are with your communities and the work that you do. Last week I was attending Research Innovation Strategy Group for the University of South Africa. the workshop which was centered around entrepreneurship. And from what I gathered from there, it seems to me that as universities in South Africa, we have taken good strides as far as, you know, the integration with the university, with the communities, and even going to lengths in terms of going out there to engage with them, as you've just explained in your example. However, for me, what is still missing is the rate at which then we are facilitating the establishment of the SMMEs, the small, medium companies, so that we can address the issue of unemployment, because as a country that's where we're struggling. So I would like to hear and prick your brains on how are you doing in terms of the translation of everything that is being done, said and done, into establishment of industries that would, in our case, definitely would play a key role in creating employment and to curb, you know, the conundrum that we're currently faced with.
Yeah, thank you. One of the last slides I had was that ecosystem and its continuous development. Yeah, we have two examples where we engage with the industry is the work placement. So in third year, so our degree programs are 4 years, and in third year, second semester, it is mandatory that all students, no matter what they're doing, music or business, they have to go out and work for 15 weeks. But that has taken a decade to develop. We have brought in industry. So mostly medium and large businesses. Small businesses, not so much, because they don't have the capacity to host a third-year student. But what it has done is we are now, because we have 3.5% unemployment in Ireland. So we are on the other side. Our industries are looking for employees. So we have a very different situation where the industries are knocking on our doors, looking for students. But during the recession, 2008 to 12, we were knocking on their doors. And they realised that, well, if they engage with us, they have the pick of the crop, and they worked with us. So that was one, that it was that reciprocity. It's as much to their benefit because they have the pick of the best students, but also for our students, they're getting work experience in a really dedicated company. The second example is around all our programs require external panel. So somebody from industry has to sit on an evaluation of both our programs and every module. So we're work ready, we're sector specific. So we're getting that input from them. It also showcases our university for the region. So yeah, thank you.
I just want us to take a question from that side.
With my answers.
Yeah, that side of the room. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So my question is just a bit more. I want to know the requirements that are needed for a person who wish to study at NT. What are the requirements?
Oh, yeah. I like it. Yes. I like ambitious people. Yes, we have a strong cohort of international students, and you make applications through our international office. Equivalent, we would have our Leaving Cert or A-levels equivalent, and you get you have to get to a certain level. Probably masters is what you're talking about. And there are scholarships. So definitely worth doing a Google on mtu.ie. Absolutely. We'd love to have you. We have a very strong international office. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I've got a question for you, Doctor, which ever since I started being part of the entrepreneurship department, there's one particular issue I have. How do you bridge the gap between breeding entrepreneurship academics or actual entrepreneurs? Because in my view, as an entrepreneur myself, when I started to study entrepreneurship at the master's level, I thought it was going to broaden or be incremental on what I have already. I'm a farmer, for instance. So I thought we were going to go incremental, but I'm finding myself now being turned into an academic. So how do you practicalize the start of entrepreneurship for people to roll up the sleeves and produce some journals and, like, I'm not interested there, but I want to be relevant. I want innovation. I want all the techniques that are relevant to improve my business as a farmer. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, my challenge is to try and answer that in 2 sentences, or I'll be thrown off the stage, so time-wise. Okay. I suppose if we look at the ecosystem, we need everybody. We need every type of person and educator and student. And probably, like yourself, I came in as an entrepreneur. But the more, as an educator, the more, as you know, the more you realise, well, I actually know very little, so I need to research into what I'm looking for. So as an educator, you're constantly researching, you're constantly looking up, what's the best way to do things, because none of us know everything. And what will happen, you kind of get the bug. You as an educator, you'll find the deeper you get into this research, you'll realise that there's some research that isn't out there. And you go, well, I know loads on this subject. And you get hooked. And you go, well, actually, I'm going to research that and I'm going to share that knowledge through a conference or through a publication or even through doing something like this, a symposium. So it's no one job. It's an integration. Does that answer your question? No? We can chat afterwards. As we said during COVID, we can talk offline.
I'm willing to take one last question, and right here in front of us.
As a student, I would like to ask in terms of institution engage with other organizations, private, businesses to offer bursaries to entrepreneurship students, because I find there is, lack of businesses or, programs that are offering bursaries. And considering that, entrepreneurs are being now, people encouraged to take on these programs, they should be, companies, offering the bursaries to students.
Is it that you're asking, do private companies offer training?
Not training, bursaries to...
Oh, the bursaries like seed funding?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not scholarships, because there's bursaries are different from scholarships. So I need, because I'm searching for bursaries, but I find it difficult because there's rare, there is lack of opportunities in terms of businesses. I'm finding it difficult to finding businesses that are offering bursaries for entrepreneurship.
Oh yeah. Yeah, us too, finding difficulty in private money, if you like, to support entrepreneurs. Yeah, it generally comes through the incubator centre. It also comes through, you know, as you get small pieces of seed funding, and the big private companies then realise, well, actually, this entrepreneur is fantastic. They've used a tiny seed funding very well, and they've added value and created value. They're not going to invest in somebody that hasn't got, you know, a track record in using small pieces of funding. So with great difficulty is the short answer to get private money. But it is, I would suggest that you start getting the seed funding, small seed funding, and build up your reputation in adding value. So yeah, a good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Magek. We have just now come to that time where I would like to request Dr. Marcia Libambo to come and hand over a token of appreciation to our keynote. There you go. It's for you.
Still morning. Good morning, everyone. Mine is very short. On behalf of the Faculty of Management Sciences, Doc, words are not enough to express our gratitude for this wonderful keynote address. Please, let's just give her a round of applause again. As you're talking, I just made a note on a quote that I think is relevant to what you were talking about. If you have knowledge, let others light their candles from it. I think when we were coming in here, we were holding our small candles, but it didn't have light. But we are walking out of here with our candles full of light. So I think we are going to go back to our respective communities. We're going to go back to our respective departments and in our faculty and continue lighting other people's candles as well. So thank you so much for everything that you've done for us. And this is something very small, just to say thank you from the faculty.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to invite to the podium the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Management Sciences, Dr. Edgar Nsamvuni, to provide a vote of thanks.
Hello. Hello. How are you? I hope you had a good morning. I put on a tie because I thought the VC would be here. The last time I was here, I was not wearing a tie, I was wearing a red tie. I don't have a red tie. I was going to wear a red tie, but fortunately it's not here. I want to first thank you for attending the 32nd Vice-Chancellor seminar. I'm emphasizing the word 32nd because the 30th, the 31st, and the 32nd were hosted by the Faculty of Management Sciences. So the 31st was presented by Professor Jan from Malaysia. The 31st was presented by Professor Harrigan, who works in Australia but is Irish. We discovered when he was here, I could not tell his accent, and the VC was the one that saw that he's Irish. And then I realized we are going to have 2 Irish presenters in 1 month. And what I said in the previous one, Helen, was that we are going to wear green to honor the Irish that are presenting for us until you beat us in rugby. Then we cancel that arrangement. But for starters, our colleagues, I want you to give a round of applause to our VC. He went on TV, punted this particular event, and in his absence, let's just appreciate what he has done for us. when I was informed that he's not here today, he's supposed to do the introduction, I realized it's okay, he has already done the introduction on TV because it was on national TV, and I'm hoping that there will be much more views online of today's event. DVC, once again, thank you for making your time available. I know your schedule is busier than mine, but you have twice in 1 month, you have given us your 3 hours. Thank you very much. I also want to appreciate my friend from the TEFLOP Graduate School of Leadership. We were speaking, Prof. Sipo just waved to everyone. We were speaking last week and I told him about the event and he says, I'm going to come. And he came. Thank you very much. Now, the question that one asks is 30th, 31st, 32nd, and we will still, where's Naledi? We will still bid for the 33rd and the 34th. And we have taken a decision as a faculty, whether we are funded, DVC, or not, and they are not termed the VC seminars. Our target is twice a year, we are going to have international scholars addressing us. If they are not VC seminars, we are going to call them master classes or something like that, but that is a commitment that we have made, and that is the reason why the past 3 we were the ones that hosted them. Now, the question is why? Why do we do this? Now, most people will think Vice-Chancellor seminar and they will think and see what happened today. But the reality is Helen has been here since Monday. I didn't see her yesterday. Why? Because she was busy. I'm sure I won't see her tomorrow because why she is busy. Because we have reached a stage as a faculty, and I'm believing the university is reaching that stage where we need to start asking ourselves, what are we offering to the students? Is what we are offering to the students comparable internationally? Let's forget national. Is it comparable internationally? And this month, we have received input into the program in marketing, and Helen is going to be busy this week looking at our program in entrepreneurship. I will try to answer your question relating to us turning you into an academic, and I'm so sorry about that. I will apologize in advance, but I will answer you right at the end. So what happened was that in May this year, I was just called. There's an event in Ireland I've never been, and they are looking for somebody to go to Ireland to talk about entrepreneurship. I didn't tell you, Patrick, because I knew you'll say you are going. So I decided I've never been. I told no one. I said, I will go. And then when I went, I met Helen for the first time in May this year. But what struck me when I was there, and it was the most exciting thing, was how much MTU focus on developing entrepreneurs. Now, she said so, and I realized when she was asking, where do you want to go? Most people were talking China, Korea. Only one person who said Cork. But after you realize that if you go there, before you finish, they are wanting to employ you, I'm sure all of you will change your minds. Because indeed, they don't have the same need as us. 3.5 unemployment rate, but they still push entrepreneurship. Their students do great projects in entrepreneurship, and then others say, I'm going to work. It was a nice project to do. We don't have that option. You are sitting here as entrepreneurship students. You don't have the luxury to say, the project that I'm working on, I'm doing it to pass. Because we want you to do that to get it, to start your own enterprise. So when we started discussing, it was already fait accompli for me, whether we have funding or not, that she will come and share with us how they run their program to successfully produce viable entrepreneurial projects. And I'm believing that in the week that she's going to spend now, we are, fortunately, I'm talking ahead of myself now, fortunately in the process of redesigning our program in entrepreneurship, and I'll give you a short history. We started with a diploma in small business. I was not even part of TUT or TNG or Technicon Pretoria then. And what we discovered is that students were doing that program, completing it, and sending out CVs to be employed. It didn't make sense, because if you are doing an entrepreneurial project, the outcome of that should be somebody starting their own enterprise. 2018, 2019, we had a collaboration with the Finnish, and then we redesigned the program to say the outcome of the program should be an entrepreneur. We have done that 2019. I can't count. From 2019, you'll do the arithmetics. Unfortunately, COVID disrupted our third year program where we wanted to have this infused entrepreneurial development with our students. We are trying to play catch up now. But after the visit in May, it became very apparent to me that 6 months is not enough to start a business. Then the question was, are we actually spending too much time teaching and not allowing the student to start their businesses? So where we are now is that we are redeveloping the program again, that we spend less time teaching and allow more time for the students that are enrolling for the diploma entrepreneurship to start their own enterprises. Again, because there are no jobs out there. Making sense? So, you can clap your hands. So what we are planning to do, and is already actually going to be submitted to Senate, the last Senate of the year, the new program in entrepreneurship will allow students to just spend 2 years in the class. The whole third year is developing your own enterprise. And we are hoping that that will allow you sufficient time to start an enterprise that is viable, or start a cooperation that is viable. As you heard today, working together seems to have better results. You can start your own, you can work on your own, or you can start with a group of you in the same class. The question is, what else can we do? The one thing that we've also discovered is that apart from students enrolling for the diploma entrepreneurship, there are students that enrolls in program in our faculty who have DVC, work integrated learning. You are doing hospitality, you want to do work integrated learning, we send you to a hotel, but you have no interest in working in a hotel. You want to start your own catering company. Or you are starting tourism. You want to start your own adventure company. Or you are studying marketing. I'm looking at Dr. Elizma because we haggled on this. I said, how can marketing students start their own business? She says they can. And you want to start your own advertising company. We send you 6 months to work for somebody. Sometimes they make you do coffee and stuff like that. And it is not what you want. So the new program that we are developing, actually it's not a new program, starting from next year, students in these 3 programs, hospitality, tourism, and marketing, would have a choice to say, do I want to be placed in a workplace, or do I rather want to spend 6 months planning my catering business, planning to start a bed and breakfast, planning to start an advertising enterprise. Starting next year that we are going to do. Fortunately, Senate has already approved that. Now, where did we make mistakes? I'm coming back to your question. You put her in a corner. I was feeling so sorry for her, how she's going to answer that question. You are enrolled for the Masters in Entrepreneurship, and we turn you into an academic. Is true, because Masters, by full research, are designed to create academics. Now, the department the faculty, in 2018, we made a very big mistake. We had a coursework Masters in Entrepreneurship that was going to do what we were asking for, to add on. We then did away with that and not replace it with another professional Masters. The challenge that the department has, as I stand here, is we need to have such a Masters. That's number one. Then number two is the mini dissertation. And I know some of you are sitting in, struggling with your mini dissertation. Those of you that finished MTech entrepreneurship struggled with your mini dissertation because research is not what we are looking for. We have learned from the MBA program that we are offering from the Tshwane School for Business and Society that the mini dissertation can be a project. It can be an innovative project. It can be something in your field, in agriculture, where you are going to develop an innovation. We will, where's Patrick? Why are you looking down now? The professional Masters in Entrepreneurship, we have no choice. Department of Management and Entrepreneurship. We have to do away with the research masters that we are having now. Because at the end, as he rightfully says, the outcome should contribute back to the entrepreneurship ecosystem. And that will be something that we will correct. Maybe take advice for now. Be the academic with what we are going to give you, unfortunately, with the program that we have on the ground right now. And in this room, you are at master's level. In this room, there are young minds that are still doing diploma. They can then use your expertise to learn from you as an entrepreneur and the element of academia that would have infused into you. Is that fair? I know it's a no. That laughter says no, but anyway, that's a wish, that's a request I have for you. Yes. And then you asked a question. There are no bursaries for entrepreneurship. And I think it was a battle also for Helen to comprehend what you are referring to, but I could pick that up very quickly. The reason why that is that funders will fund somebody studying in their field. So if you are doing hospitality, you can then get bursaries from hotels. But when you are studying entrepreneurship, who will fund you? So it's a fact. And as he rightfully says, it's difficult to attract money for entrepreneurship at diploma to fund a student unless if it's through NSFAS or the TUT bursary fund. However, what we have realized is that when we are doing entrepreneurship, the sooner you find your enterprise, that is where you will attract funding. As he rightfully said, there will then be seed funding, depending on the type of enterprise you are starting. Then you are able to attract seed funding. But you'll find that maybe with the enterprise, it will compensate on the fees that you might need to get paid. But I fully understood the question that you raised. All that we are saying is what we have learned, again, through the Center for Entrepreneurship Development is that sitting here in this university that has over 60,000 students, there are quite a lot of students that have business ideas. What Helen said today is that entrepreneurship is a skill that can be learned. You have an idea, but you don't know what to do with that idea. This is why the program is there. Now, you have an idea, but it is in a particular field. You are studying that particular field, and you want to turn that idea into a business. This is the reason why the Center for Entrepreneurship Development is there. So I'm calling upon all the students that are here, if you are enrolled for entrepreneurship, your target is to become an entrepreneur. All that you require is the skills. The department and the center are there, available to provide you the skills. As I'm saying, we are learning as we going along. 2018, to 2022, we realized that whatever we have on the ground is still not working. We are busy redeveloping what we are having so that at the end, we produce future-ready graduates. That readiness is for you to start your own business. With those, did I talk a lot? Before I say with those few words, with those words, I want to again thank you. I had promised the VC that we are going to fill the hall. I don't think we really filled it, but we have better attendees than we have the last time. The department that will be hosting the next one, we need to fill this hall. Thank you very much. Sorry, I forgot to say something. There are 2 companies that came through the Center for Entrepreneurship Development, and they are providing service today. The cameras that you see here are not TUT cameras. They are from a company called Mesh Pictures. They have offered to do live streaming. They are doing the videography for today. They are graduates of the Center for Entrepreneurship Development. The coffee that you drank this morning and the refreshment that are waiting for you outside. I didn't say, I just said refreshments, so don't raise hopes too high. The catering is done by KEK. I realize now it's called KEK Adventures. He's also a graduate of the Center for Entrepreneurship Development. Now, one thing that this university decided to do in 2020, every year, and I'm saying this to all the students that are doing entrepreneurship, if you do start that enterprise, Helen, our university provides the seed funding. As part of the BBBEE requirements, there is an element of enterprise development that the university has to fund enterprises. The 2 companies I've mentioned did receive seed funding. Ne? And the seed funding is not 5,000. It's not 50. It's not 100. We have companies that have received 200, 300, depending on how viable the business is. So the same answer I gave to him, that you will start attracting money when you have started your enterprise. This university, Tshwane University of Technology, we empower people, has put their money where their mouths are. Every year, I think it's a range of around 3 million that is spent every year on providing seed funding. May I wish that majority of you sitting here are recipients of those seed fundings. Can I say thank you again? Thank you very much.
Thank you to the Executive Dean. There's something I picked up here, which I think has to be discussed at the Executive Committee of the faculty, because you went to Ireland when you were not supposed to go there. You didn't tell anybody, because it's nice to be the Executive Dean. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 5 minutes late. It was an absolute pleasure to host you here. We are done for the day, and wishing you well for the rest of the day.